everybody. Welcome to WD Carousel of Podcast. My name is Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And today we're going to do a whole What Does Ian Remember of a Movie episode. It's been a while since we've done one of these too.
Yeah.
I was going to say classic movie, but is 2003 classic?
Depends on if you're a Gen Z or not.
And I don't think you are.
No.
You're like
I'd have to be
the
born in like
far end of millennial.
I'm about I think I'm about 4 years from being a Gen Z.
Yeah, and versus me where I'm an Xer / millennial. I'm like straddling
right
the
on
line.
The edge. Yeah.
Whatever. Shows you how old we are.
I'm a junior millennial. She's an older millennial. It's just how it works.
I'm an older millennial. I'm working on my AARP card.
There you go. Love it.
So today we are going to cover, because it is spoopy season, specifically today is the day of the main spoop.
Correct.
We are covering a movie that came out in 2003 that is based on the best attraction at Walt Disney World. Check our older podcasts if you're curious why we say that.
It's like episode 2 or 3.
No, we had to do the breakdown. But we did do a cover.
It was like... Yeah.
All right. Anyways, the Haunted Mansion movie.
Yes,
there was a movie based on the Haunted Mansion. So we always love to start these out with, "Hey, Ian, I made you watch this a couple weeks ago.
I know.
What do you remember? Give us the plot."
Basically, exactly 2 weeks ago. Okay. So Eddie Murphy and his really hot wife. Sorry, that's not how. And then they have 2 kids. And they're like a husband and wife, like, real estate team. And at some point she gets a call from like Terrence Stamp saying like, "Oh, the master would like to talk to you about selling his home," kind of situation. And so instead of her going alone, which would be kind of uncomfortable, they all went as a family, which is also kind of uncomfortable. And they all went to this like crazy old house somewhere in Louisiana. That's where they're at. It's Louisiana, New Orleans. And they go in and basically
Ian remembers plot.
They go in and they are like brought in for dinner to meet with like Master Gracie, who's the owner of the manor basically. And there's something really creepy with the Terrence Stamp butler character, but I don't remember the name of the character. That's fine. And he's just like, there's something like deeply off about him, and he really doesn't like Eddie Murphy's character. And they keep kind of trying to like usher away the wife. I can't remember her name either. Jeez. And then the 2 kids end up also they all get separated immediately. Somehow they all get separated like immediately, it seems like.
I miss these episodes.
And basically they all end up on a separate adventure. She gets trying to get seduced. She gets called down separately. She tries to get seduced. She ends up getting Master Gracie attempts to seduce her, and slowly, and she's kind of like, no. And
what is a slow seduction? Hold on, I want to know what this is. A slow seduction.
He was being very forward. She was just moving very slowly with it. Was basically the moral of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was moving pretty aggressively, in my opinion. But I don't know. Okay. And
continue.
Yeah, there's just like lots of weird details in this movie. As I remember, like little bits and pieces of it coming back. Like there's so many weird little details of this movie that are just weird. He realizes that she's gone at some point, and then he goes down, and he ends up finding Madame Leota at some point, which was really weird. And she was like, yeah, so there's like a key that you have to find, because if you don't find it, your wife is gonna die. And he's like, okay, that's a move, okay. And so they end up, and then there's Wallace Shawn and somebody else who are also ghosts, are like on their side. They're just there because they're kind of like the Mrs. Potts and Lumiere of this story. And they're cursed to be stuck on this mortal plane with him. And they end up on this adventure, and he ends up with like the son and the daughter, and the Eddie Murphy does, and they end up in like a crypt looking for this key. trying to like find a way to, I guess it's like a key, it's kind of a key just to find information about like what the deal is with her and why she keeps trying to get seduced. Not trying, he tries to seduce her the whole time. And so they end up in this like crypt, and then pretty soon all like the like stuff, all the bodies in the crypt start to like kind of wake up and get all zombie-y, and it's very spooky, scary skeletons. And I was actually surprised at like how kind of spooky, scary skeletons it was, considering the fact that it was like a Disney kind of family film. I was kind of surprised by that. But anyway, they have to start overcoming fears. The door was locked, and the son would have to get the Eddie Murphy and the daughter out, but there was like spiders all over it, so he had to like get over his fear of spiders to like open the door to let them out. So they had the key anyway. They go back and find Madame Leota again, or do they have her with them at that point? I don't remember. Because she's still in the crystal ball, just like in the she's like basically exactly lifted out of the ride. And they go back, they find her again, and they find out that the key opens a trunk with like more information to like what needs to happen. And once they get in there, they realize that Master Gracie was married to how does it work? He had like been engaged to a black woman in like the 1800s and something at some point, and he was very wealthy, and the butler, the Terrence Stamp character, was like, this is a terrible idea, and like just like basically has her killed to keep him from marrying his true love. And so, but she looks a lot like the wife, though I don't think that they were actually ever the same person. That was just like a weird thing. But in the end, it sort of comes down to the fact that they discover this and realize that he's just trying to like marry the wife and kill her so they can be married, and that like theoretically would lift the curse that keeps them all stuck in the house as ghosts. But it doesn't it's such a convoluted story. I'm trying to think. I totally lost my train of thought. At some point they get he gets her like separated, and the kids get locked in the trunk by Terrence Stamp, and then the kids are being held hostage as like as leverage against Eddie Murphy. The wife is like in like full like being seduced by Master Gracie mode. Then she realizes that he's trying to like marry/kill her, which is crazy. And she's like, no, I'm not who you think I am. This is really weird. Like, why would you think that? And Eddie Murphy gets locked out at some point by somebody. I can't remember who does it. Probably Terrence Stamp. He was weird. And he basically uses his Mercedes to break back into the house again. And I did some of that out of order. But anyway, he eventually finds his way back. The kids are... I don't remember exactly how the kids get out, but they do. Oh, no, he gets them. Eddie Murphy goes up back to the attic, finds the kids, brings them back down. They find them in the master ballroom with Master Gracie and the wife in the master ballroom, or the main ballroom, and he's like trying to kill her, and come to find out that like the plot, he basically unravels the plot because he found the information about it, the original like love letter that she had in the trunk upstairs, which I don't know why he didn't just like destroy it initially. That would have like absolved any of that information from like him and making him culpable for it. Anyway, doesn't matter. And so he ends up getting the he like reveals this information to Master Gracie. Master Gracie realizes it's not the same thing. Something happens that like unlocks the wife's spirit, and they like have a moment where she like inhabits the spirit of the long lost fiance of Master Gracie, like inhabits temporarily the body of the wife, and like there's this moment, and then they both like go up, ascend to what will be assumed as heaven, and then the Terrence Stamp character like gets absorbed into the hell, which basically comes from the giant like ballroom fireplace. And I literally don't remember more than that. It was everything was like, yeah.
Was a valiant effort.
Ugh.
You got the majority of it correct, so I have to give you applause for that. So Eddie Murphy's character is married to Sarah Evers from Evers and Evers Real Estate.
Jim and Sarah Evers, that's right.
Yeah. And so they get the call, you're correct. Sarah gets the call from the butler character.
Right.
And he talks about his master wanting to sell the property.
Right.
But the Evers and Evers Real Estate are supposed to be spending a holiday out with the family.
Yes.
And Eddie Murphy's character is like, let's just talk to him real quick because he's an addict. He's a job addict. So they show up, rain happens, they get flooded out so they can't leave. So this is where Master Gracie is like, we have spare rooms, you'll stay here.
Right.
Put the kids in one room, put the couple in the other. Eddie Murphy and his wife Sarah have a fight. Eddie Murphy is approached by the butler, says, come down here, Master Gracie wants to talk to you while she's taking a shower. That's how they get separated.
Right.
He finds a hidden doorway and gets lost in the background.
Right.
The kids decide that they're going to go gallivanting on their own.
Same.
They go up to the attic where they meet the two staff characters and find out that their mother actually is a reincarnated version of the love of Master Gracie's.
Right.
At that point in time, both of them are starting to get haunted by all of the occupying ghosts, where Eddie Murphy is chased by musical instruments into the room with Jennifer Tilly, which is Madame Leota, where she speaks a whole bunch of rhymes to get them. And he's like, whatever. And then he meets up with the kids. They're like, you need to find this key, as you said. They grab Madame Leota's orb, and the two servant ghosts help bring them out to the crypt through the graveyard, where they can get to find the key, where the skeletons do take over. The son does release them from the spider-infested door.
Crypt door. Yep.
They go back to the house. Eddie Murphy again cannot get in, as you had mentioned. The kids are taken away and put into the trunk. And it's pretty much, you did a pretty good job. You did a pretty good job. For only one viewing a couple weeks ago, it's not bad. It is a very, I want to say, not confrontational, but contested movie as far as us Disney nerds go.
Sure. Because
we love the Haunted Mansion. And there are aspects of the movie that, unless you are die-hard fans of the attraction, you would not understand what the heck's going on. This is also before they came up with the bride plot line of the attractions that are currently in the American parks. So there's a lot of confusion as to what's going on, what can happen, all of that. But it is a very entertaining movie.
I thought of it as a ride. It was like an enjoyable ride to go through.
And as you go through the movie attraction, you're going to find a lot of similar situations, like the doors that blow out at you, or the singing busts, even though there's only 4 of them in the movie, and in the attraction there's actually 5. There are the nuances of Madame Leota and the musical instruments. There are the ghosts that happen waltzing in the ballroom scene. There's a lot of similarities. Even, the most minuscule things like the candelabra that's floating down a hall happens at one point in time. So it is, I want to say, lip service to the fans.
It both, I feel like, but it also kind of like polarized the fans, because some people were like, Because you look at the movie and it's like kind of like a weird. It feels like kind of like it reads like a cult classic movie, but also at the same time it's making tons of Haunted Mansion references throughout.
Well, and not just Haunted Mansion references, but to an attraction that's not even on United States property.
Right.
So a lot of what you're going to find here is relevant to the Paris Disneyland attraction, Phantom Manor.
Yeah.
And so you're going to find a lot of correspondences there as far as the look goes of the building, layouts, all of that.
Yeah, I remember we were watching, because I did a video ride through of Phantom Manor because I was curious about it, because it's a lot darker. Like it's like, I really like the Haunted Mansion because it's like both kind of spooky but also like super light and funny and goofy, and as the unofficial guide said in the early aughts, about as scary as a whoopee cushion. Like it's not that scary. And the Haunted Mansion, the Phantom Manor, I'm like, oh, this is actually kind of scary. Like it's scary. And I remember we were sitting there watching the movie, and I look at the main, we're in there like in the main hall, and I look at like a staircase. I'm like, well, wait a second. This is literally the staircase from the Phantom Manor. Like, it looks exactly the same.
Yeah, it's not reminiscent to either of the Haunted Mansion properties in America.
Right.
I do know that the Dapper Dans from Disneyland are the ones that voiced the singing busts in the movie.
Makes sense.
So that's like a fun little homage.
Right.
They also did things like the changing photos with the lightning.
Yep.
That happened due to the storm.
Yep.
There's
and the looking, like the busts and the paintings that will follow you. That was also in there.
Yeah.
They set the whole movie was set in New Orleans. Which is the original
location of the Disneyland property. They talked about how Master Gracie unofficially hanged himself, which is again, of course, there's always my way.
Exactly.
So it's very much fan service.
For sure.
Which is something that we appreciate. Yeah. Obviously, the bride's dress in the attic, which is something that we're familiar with for the bride's story now.
Right.
Was expanded upon, but in a different aspect in this. They even had the connections to the crows that we had made mention to in the episode that we covered behind the scenes of the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
But it's not really that big of a deal here in our current rides. It is in the movies.
Yep.
Which is something kind of fun too.
Yeah.
So it's a very fun movie. If you enjoy Disney attractions being brought to life, this was done the same year as the original Pirates of the Caribbean as well. So CGI on the same level as far as the skeletons go, the ghosts go. And I think just one of them was less trying to poke fun and joke at. Like Pirates, they didn't. They tried to create their own world, where this one was more like hey, we got a haunted house.
Yeah.
Not only that, but we have a black family trying to live in a haunted house, which is kind of problematic on its own.
Yeah.
I mean, even Eddie Murphy was quoted to be like, hold on, let me find it. It says he suggested that a black person would never be featured in such a movie because they would leave as soon as they saw anything supernatural. I mean, they're smarter.
Yeah,
as far
honestly.
as that goes. Plus, instead of being like, what?
Let's go one by one. Meanwhile, don't go in that basement. What do you? Oh.
Yeah, hold on. You want me to get into a hearse to drive me to a crypt to get a key? No, thank you. So it's fun. There are obviously more little kitschs that you can get to this, like the red couch that was in Master Gracie's study was the original couch from the movie 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. There are hidden Mickeys in there that you can locate as well. It's just a lot of stuff that is, again, lip service to the fans who are diehards about the Disney attraction. Yeah. And it's fun. I like it. I don't understand why it's bashed so much. I understand why Country Bears, the movie, is bashed so much.
Yeah, I haven't even bothered.
This one, I don't get the hate.
I mean, I think that overall the plotline is preposterous and weird. So it's like, I get that part of it. Like, the movie itself is weird, but like, if you're looking at it from being like a fan of the Haunted Mansion, like, I thought it was fun.
Well, as a fan of Disney parks in general, it even starts off with like Eddie Murphy meeting a couple at Trader Sam's.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, so Trader Sam's is a tiki bar that is very popular in Disneyland and Walt Disney World property. And so he meets a couple at a Trader Sam's. They don't actually come out with it saying that it's Trader Sam's, but it has all of the little kitsch that goes along with it. Yeah. So it's a movie made specifically for the Disney park fans, and you will find so many little nods and nuances that it will be like, oh, look at that.
The whole movie, I was going, oh, I see what they did there. Like, every time there'd be some little thing that I would find. The other one that got me was the at the beginning of the movie, the big door. He walks up and he goes, "Oh, wow, what knockers?" And I'm just like, very clearly a Young Frankenstein reference, and I was there for it. Very there for it.
Yeah, you see everything, and they even have the Grim Grinning Ghost song and the concertos going, and it's just, it is the ride as best as they could.
Right. Without having they had to invent their own plot line at that point.
Yeah, because they didn't have an established one.
Right.
Now there's a little bit more of an established plot line on the ride, so they don't quite match up appropriately.
Right. But the Phantom Manor storyline matches very closely. Mm-hmm. So because it's a very similar situation. It's kind of reversed, but like the dynamics are very similar in the Phantom Manor version. But
anyways, it's a good Halloween flick. Yeah. Highly recommend watching it, especially if you're looking for a spoopy good time. A
spoopy good time, cult classic-y, dumb but enjoyable. That
when
is...
the crypt doors creep and the tombstones quake, spooks come out for a swing and wake.
That.
Happy haunts materialize and begin to vocalize.
Grim Grinning Ghosts come out to socialize. There we go.
Hey, we figured it out eventually. Yeah. Okay. On that note, we hope you have a fantastic Halloween. This has been WD Carousel's podcast. My name's Crystal.
And I'm Ian.
And we hope you have a great, big, beautiful tomorrow. Bye, everybody.